Yeah, how are y'all? Great, great. My name is Jae Head, and I've been acting professionally since I was 7 years old. I was born with a congenital heart defect, which caused me to be a little smaller in stature. And growing up in the house of a football and basketball coach, it was really difficult because sports were a no-go for me because of my health. So my parents knew that I needed something that I could do, something that I could be good at and to improve at. Something that wasn't physical because I was very limited. But I always had this personality. I always was this warm, bubbly, hi, how you doing kind of person. And was always doing impressions in front of the TV and doing, mock-ups and singing and getting on tables and, all that. I met an acting coach through a talent search event that I had performed at and got discovered at. I was sent out to Los Angeles, got my first agent, my first manager, and experienced my first pilot season, which was a great time. And I was lucky enough to come out with a one-line role in How I Met Your Mother, which was a phenomenal experience getting to act on it. First time being on a set and being around the camera and all that kind of stuff was an experience I'll always remember. I'm an absolute nerd. Anything with space or, knights and dragon, anything like that, I'm down, I'm there. I've been pretty fortunate enough to, over the years, as I've gone from child actor to adult actor, I've been incredibly lucky. I've worked with some amazing people like Sandra Bullock, Will Smith, Charlize Theron, countless others. I've made many memories, learned a lot of lessons, and it is true. I've always heard that they say, making that transition from child to adult in the acting business is really tough, and it is. What's the hardest part about transitioning from child actor to adult actor? I think it kind of goes backwards. I think when you're a kid actor, a lot of times they're just looking for a really cute kid that looks well with the family and has some chemistry. Obviously, if they're talented, that's an absolute bonus and a plus, and you are looking for talent. But I think a lot of times, kids get away with it's just a cute kid, and I think that is a big reason why it struggles, because then you become an adult and it's like, no, 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 like you got to be good, and then we'll see if you look right for, you know what I mean? Like, it is such a, when you're a kid, it's like, all right, he's a cute kid, the rest can slide. But like when you're an adult, it's like, no, 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 like we got to make sure you can do this first, and then we'll see if all the other boxes are checked. And I think honestly, another reason of it is a lot of parents make their kids do it. It's a lot of parents wanting their kids to do it, wanting to be the business, wanting to be an actor, wanting to be famous, all that kind of stuff. It's the parent that wants that. And so the kid doesn't have any interest in it when they're older. My biggest personal or professional growth since my kid roles, honestly, I think it's just living life. I think it's that simple. I think when you're a child actor, I mean, you just haven't lived. If you're only 10 years old, you haven't lived through that many experiences. But when you're 25, you've lived through quite a few experiences, It's a lot easier to play somebody who's heartbroken if you've been heartbroken. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to play somebody who's broke and on the edge when you've been broke before. It's just, I think just living life and just having those experiences, it translates into your performance, into your art. Oh, dream role. Oh man. Like I said, I'm a huge nerd, right? So space, knights and dragons, superheroes and villains, count me there. I'm there. I'm there. I would love the opportunity to play the Riddler, the Batman villain, the Riddler. Just because, first of all, I've always thought the villains were always better. Their stories are always just so good, and the characters are always really good. But I like the Riddler because I like a villain who doesn't need weapons. He doesn't need, you know, strength. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need all that. He's just really smart. And that's always been interesting to me. And I've always been attracted to characters like that. So I would love to be, and I guess not just, like obviously the Riddler would be best, but just I guess playing a villain, getting to be a villain who's just smart. And it's like, how do you beat somebody who's always thinking 5 steps ahead? Like that is so much fun to me. And I would geek out like so hard if I got to do that one day. So who knows, maybe, fingers crossed. What kept me going through the ups and downs? Honestly, I think just watching movies. Just still being a fan of movies and still being inspired when I see characters I like, or when I watch a film and I'm like, oh, that was so good, I want to go see it again. Having that, having that, just still that spark of like, man, that's so cool when you go to the movies. I had an acting coach tell me one time, as long as you don't take yourself off the field, you can score. And I really like that. And it's like, as long as you don't give up, you can score, because acting is so cool because it's not like sports, right? And if you're a professional athlete, you've only got from the time you're 21 till what, 35, 40s, 40 if you're lucky, before your body just physically starts giving out on you and you can't play the game anymore. Acting isn't like that. I mean, you got guys like Clint Eastwood who are 90 something years old and they're still doing it. And it's really inspiring to see people do it for that long because you can. So honestly, just staying a fan of movies and knowing that, you can, as long as you keep going, as long as you keep auditioning and keep trying and keep getting better and keep networking and all that, like at some point you might get the chance to score. And so I always just have that in my mind of just, don't give up, keep going, you know. We make movies every day. People are always sparking new ideas, and that's the beautiful thing of it. Was there a moment I realized, like, well, I'm not a kid anymore? Like, absolutely. It'd have to be when, the moment my parents were leaving, when they had got me moved into my first apartment in Los Angeles when I was 18. It was literally like I got there, moved all my stuff in, and then the next morning I had an acting class to go to. So that morning, we went downstairs and we're hugging and I'm getting in the car, and I had this moment of like, it's all on me now. Like, there's nobody there to make sure I'm studying my lines. There's nobody there to make sure I'm getting coached up and that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do. The training wheels are off. It is you. Either you make this happen or you don't. There is no, we'll come help you out and figure it out. And I think maybe just in life, that's just a life, a moment of just having that moment of like, it's on you, kid. Whatever happens next is what you make of it.